Hey guys, good morning. This is Brad Krantz. Welcome to my Monday morning leadership. Hey, we are Monday, August the 10th. We're going through John Maxwell's The 21 Indispensable Qualities of a Leader. Today we're going to look at number 20, just one left, teachability to keep leading, keep learning. You know, Gerald McGinnis said, value your listening and reading time at roughly 10 times your talking time. He said, this will assure you that you're on a course of continuous learning and self-improvement. And that's an important point there. Hall of Fame basketball coach John Wooden stated, it's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Great point, huh? You know, leaders face the danger of contentment with the status quo. You know, after all, if a leader possesses influence and you've achieved a level of respect, why should you keep growing, right? You've got to that plateau. But the answer, Maxwell says, is simple. Your growth determines who you are. Who you are determines who you attract. And if you want to grow your organization or team, you have to remain teachable. And basically, I've always heard this analogy, and I like it. You know, if you're, it's like a leader, you're paddling a canoe or whatever, kayak up a river. As soon as you stop paddling, you're going back downhill. You may have got up the furthest you've ever been before, but once you stop paddling, you go backwards. And I think that's really the same kind of thing. If we take that analogy with leadership, that you get to a certain point, but if you just stay there and say, hey, I've arrived, you're going to start going backwards, and you're only going to treat people. Again, remember, if your leadership level's here, you're only going to attract people that are here or below. You're not going to get people that are up here. So you want to keep growing so that you start attracting more and more people to you. So here's 5 guidelines that Maxwell suggests to help us cultivate and maintain a teachable attitude. Number 1 is, he calls it cure your destination disease. You know, ironically, a lack of teachability, he says, is often rooted in achievement. Think about that. Seems a little bit contradictory. You know, people mistakenly believe if they can accomplish a particular goal, they no longer have to grow. And I just kind of covered that, right? But effective leaders cannot afford to think that way. The day they stop growing is the day they forfeit their potential and the potential of the organization. And Ray Kroc said this humorously, as long as you're green, you're growing. As soon as you're ripe, you start to rot. Think about that one. Number 2, overcome your success. You know, another irony of teachability is that success often hinders it. Okay, effective leaders know that what got them there doesn't keep them there. If you've been successful in the past, he says, beware. Okay, and consider this. If what you did yesterday still looks big to you, you haven't done much today. And that's kind of like the old adage in sales, and I quite like it, but you know, you're only as good as your last sale. But if that's all you're going to harp on is, hey, I had this big sale, I hit this, what are you doing the rest of the time? So it's an ongoing process. What he's talking about here, learning. Guys, I'm 60 years old. I'm still learning. I'm still reading. I'm still growing. And that's what he's saying here. If you stop growing, you're going to level out, and you're going to see yourself go backwards. So it's an onward, ongoing process. And number 3, this is a good recommendation here, swear off of shortcuts. You probably heard it said that the longest distance between 2 points is a shortcut. And it's really true. You know, for everything of value in your life, you pay a price, you're going to pay a price. And as you desire to grow in a particular area, you have to figure out what it'll really take, including the price, and then determine to pay it. Okay? Nothing's cheap. You know, again, I can't overemphasize this. People are always looking for shortcuts to, you know, want a business where, hey, you sign up and boom, somebody's saying, hey, you're going to make $5,000 or $8,000 in 48 hours. Guys, that's not reality. That does not happen. Okay, we want instant success. It doesn't happen. Success takes time. You have to grow. You have to be the person that that others will be attracted to. But anything you start takes time. Nobody started out. You know, Michael Jordan didn't start out as the best basketball player in the world. He just was there and he arrived. He kept working on it, but it took time to do it, and we have to remember that. 4, you got to trade in your pride, and I think this is a big one. Teachability requires us as leaders to admit that we don't know everything. Right? And that can make us look bad. You know, I'll be the first one to say, hey, I don't know everything, and I never will. Okay, but I know, at least I know what I don't know, and the things I don't know that are maybe my weaknesses, I have people that can help me in those areas. I can delegate there. You know, in addition, if we keep learning, we've also are going to keep making mistakes, right? Albert Hubbard said the greatest mistake one can make in life is to be continually fearing you will make one. And I think it was Thomas J. Watson that said, you know, if you want the more successful you want to be, double your failure rate, right? Failure, we have had this so ingrained in our minds through school and all this that failure is bad, failure is wrong. But guys, nobody has achieved anything worthwhile without, number one, paying a price, but two, without having any failures. Failure is integrally related to success. So the only way to get to success is keep making failures, but keep, as John Maxwell, one of his books, Failing Forward, keep failing forward, right? You cannot be prideful and teachable, at the same time, okay? Emerson stated that for everything you gain, you lose something, right? Again, there's a price to be paid. To gain growth, give up your pride. You have to do that at some point. 5, never pay twice for the same mistake. Teddy Roosevelt asserted, he who makes no mistakes makes no progress. There you have it, right? That's 100% true. But the leader who keeps making the same mistakes also makes no progress. So, hey, it's okay to make a mistake. Just don't make the same mistake twice. You learn from your mistakes, right? That's the key thing here. As a leader, you and I will make mistakes, 100% given, okay? Forget them, but always remember what they taught you. There is a lesson to be learned. Yeah, I've done a lot of dumb things in my life. I've made some big, had a fair amount of failures in my life, more failures than successes. But I have learned from that. I don't let those failures cripple me that I can't now go on at 60 years old and become a leader, build a global business and all that. But you know what he says? If you don't, you'll pay for them more than once. Pretty wise advice there. So let's reflect on this a bit. We're going to ask some questions here. He gave the analogy, if you don't like the crop you're reaping as a farmer, check the seed that you're sowing. Okay. So first question is, what kind of crop are you reaping? Okay. And then, do your life and leadership seem to be getting better day after day, month after month, year after year? And if they're not, or are you constantly fighting just to hold your ground? You got to think about that. Take inventory, take stock of yourself. If you're not where you hoped you would be by this time in your life, your problem may be a lack of teachability. Okay? When was the last time you did something for the first time? And then when was the last time you made yourself vulnerable by diving into something for which you weren't the expert? Okay? Observe your attitude toward growing and learning during the next several days or weeks to see where you stand. This is some personal reflection, basically. Self-awareness, again, is really key here. So to improve your teachability, he's got 3 suggestions here that I think they're pretty good. One is observe how you react to mistakes. Do you admit your mistakes? And we see this a lot of politicians, and this is what drives me nuts. They can't admit to mistakes as they play word games and all this, but admit your mistakes, guys. We're human. As leaders, we need to be human. We need to have empathy. We need to be honest. We need to show integrity. Admit your mistakes. And then, do you apologize when appropriate? Can't tell you how many times I've apologized for being wrong. Or are you on the defensive? Again, to politicians, let's just play word games and pretend like what we said we didn't really say. So you've got to observe yourself. You may want to ask a trusted friend or maybe your spouse their opinion, okay? And then try something new. Get out of your way today to do something different that will stretch you mentally, emotionally, and physically. Challenges change us for the better. It's how we grow, right? And if you really want to start growing, make new challenges part of your daily activities. And I think a lot of us, we get in ruts. We're comfortable where we're at. I get it, but we've got to get out of those ruts and start taking on challenges. And the last point he makes here is to learn in your area of strengths, right? You got to play to your strengths, not your weaknesses. Now, he recommends reading 6 to 12 books a year on leadership or your field of specialization. I'm not going to argue that's a great starting place, but I think first, people don't read enough, guys. Books are important. Learning books are very, very important. 6 to 12 books a year. I think that's a good starting point, but especially in your, area of leadership or specialization. Great point. Leaders are readers, but not all readers are leaders. Then continue to learn in an area where you're already an expert. That prevents you from becoming jaded and unteachable. So thanks, guys, so much for joining me today. I hope you received some value from this segment. If you did, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. So if you like the content, you'll be notified of more to come. And also, please reach out to me and connect with me on my social media links that I'll provide. Have an awesome Monday, guys. Bye-bye.